Yes, we can start with the meeting. Uh,
Should we begin?
yes, I I'll start first. So, hi everyone. This is Somil from the Alumni Outreach Committee of the Department of Electrical Engineering. I welcome you all to the fourth episode of the Alumni podcast series. In this series, we will be talking to our alumni who have done exceptionally well in their respective fields. So today we have Sir Anunaya Jha. He completed his BTech degree from IIT Roorkee in 2012 from the Department of Electrical Engineering. He is a silver medalist with Institute Rank 2 and a Department Rank 1. Presently posted as Municipal Commissioner at Mathura Vrindavan Municipal Corporation, he has served in Mathura, Jhansi, and Aligarh districts. So, welcome, sir. We are honored to have you as our guest in this podcast. Students were overwhelmed to have you as our guest, and we received plenty of questions from them. And we have listed them, and we would like to mention a few of them today here in this podcast.
Thank you so much. Uh, First and foremost, it feels a little awkward when you're addressed as Sir Anunaya Jha. It feels as if you've been knighted, and the Queen of England has bestowed that honor in you. Also, it feels very humbling to be present in front of the alumni of IIT Roorkee, each better than the other. And I'm also to believe that uh, Professor G.N. Pillai is also here, and he had taken a few of my courses. So it's wonderful to be here. I'll just be back in a second. I'm just getting one call which I need to take. I'll be back in 1 minute. Just give me a second.
क्या रहता है, मूल वेतन बनाया जाता है, फिक्स होता है, उसी पे महंगाई ये सब लगता है, तब वेतन बन जाता है हर दिन काम में लाभ लगता है।
Sir, are you there?
I'm so sorry for the interruption. Uh, it was a call from the government, and there was some issue that's piling up. Sorry for the interruption. I'll get back. So yeah, so as I was saying, it's very humbling to be in front of your professors who have taught you about a decade back. And I would like to thank Professor Pillai and Professor Vishnu for giving me this opportunity to interact with one of the brightest minds of 2022 from IIT Roorkee. A brief bit about myself, I think, um, because of a lot of the questions that have been shared here, इनमें भी पूछा गया है कि आप what is your background, आपने क्या किया और कैसे decide किया civil services के लिए, so on and so forth. Uh, so the next 1 hour that I would like to interact with all of you, about 30-35 minutes, I would like to tell you what I have personally seen and gone through the journey from IIT Roorkee to the Indian Administrative Service. And then about 20 minutes, we'll open the floor to questions, some of which I have here with me right now. And if a few of you still want to ask a few questions and if we have some time, we'll probably take that further, right? I hope that's okay with everyone. Um, and the format of this interaction is clear. All right. So I think that'll be fine. Great. So I took the JEE in the year 2008, and that was my second attempt at JEE. In the first attempt, I had got into something called the extended merit list. I don't know whether it exists now or not, but it was for essentially the IISERs and the other institutions. So I joined the Delhi College of Engineering in my first year in the year 2007 after I graduated from school in Delhi. I went to a public school in Delhi. And in my second attempt, I made it to IIT Roorkee, and my branch was biotechnology. So I had a decent rank, not a very good rank, but I got into biotechnology, and I took the first year is common, I think, still with everyone, right? तो फर्स्ट ईयर में कहते थे ना कि हिस्सू बन के पढ़ना. So literally that happened. I was wondering whether I could kind of do well in the first year and try to improve my branch. तो हमने फर्स्ट ईयर में काफ़ी मेहनत की. uh, मेहनत करना उस समय होता था कि क्लास कहाँ जाना, क्लास के नोट्स पढ़ लेना और ट्यूटोरियल्स के न्यूमेरल्स कर लेना. तो अगर ये कर लिया आपने तो आपका स्कोर ठीक ठाक आता था फर्स्ट ईयर. सो आई स्कोर्ड अ डिसेंट जीपीए इन द फर्स्ट ईयर. सीजी अच्छी थी और उसके बाद हमारा 2009 इन सेकंड ईयर आई गॉट अ ब्रांच टू इलेक्ट्रिकल इंजीनियरिंग. Electrical engineering, I don't know why I chose it. I still don't know. I don't come from a family of engineers. I come from a family of historians and microbiologists and literatures. I don't come from a family of engineers, but it is serendipity. It is maybe it's destiny that landed me in electrical engineering as a choice for my branch. उसके बाद सेकेंड ईयर हुआ, थर्ड ईयर हुआ, और थर्ड ईयर में सबको टेंशन रहती है कि अब भाई वी नीड टू काइंड ऑफ अब हमें इंटर्नशिप लगनी है. तो बहुत लोग उस समय डार्ट के लिए अप्लाई करते थे जर्मनी में. दे वुड अप्लाई फॉर दीज यूनिवर्सिटीज अब्रॉड प्रोफेसर्स के साथ. श्लम बर्जर में इंटर्नशिप्स होते थे उस समय. आई डोंट नो वेदर दैट्स कंटिन्यूइंग और नॉट. और उसी साल इन द ईयर 2010 for the first time Barclays Capital had come to campus. Um, for an internship program in Singapore. So they had been kind of going very regularly to Kharagpur and Delhi, बट वो रुड़की पहली बार आए थे, तो कैंपस में बहुत ज़्यादा बज़ था कि आर्कलेस कैपिटल आया है और सिंगापुर में it's giving us an opportunity to do the internship in Singapore. And so much like other Jesus on campus and other studs and people who thought that they'll make it, हमने भी अप्लाई किया, हमने भी फरियाद दी वो ट्रेनिंग एंड प्लेसमेंट सेल में. And the internship program ka interview was in Delhi. So we were about 15 of us or 20 of us who were shortlisted for the interview program. And it was basically a tech role. It was, I think it was a technical analyst, and you needed to have fabulous skills in the computer languages and database management and all of that. So I mean, if in my 4 years of IIT Roorkee, if I have been scared of some subject, it's been C++. I did not like C++. I and लोग तो Java भी लेते थे. I used to consider them to be gods and goddesses जिन्होंने Java लिया था. But I was extremely petrified of coding. और वो int a equal to something या int a equal to something जो होता था, वो मुझे आज तक समझ नहीं आया. And I think logic died a painful death with me when it came to coding. तो खैर उसका इंटरव्यू हुआ फिर बार्कलेस कैपिटल का. The interview happened in Delhi, and the interview was very particular. They said that are you comfortable with coding? Are you okay with programming? And a part of me wanted to say yes, absolutely, I don't have a problem. But then another part of me wanted to say no, I am scared of coding and I can't do coding to save my life. And so that was a golden moment so as to say कि भाई what should I say. तो वहां पे जो उस समय अपने आप को लगा सही, वो ये था कि सही सही बता देते हैं कि भाई साहब कोडिंग नहीं आती है, उसके अलावा अगर कोई काम हो तो वो करवा लीजिएगा, कोई समस्या नहीं. So I was honest with them and I told them that I am not at all good at programming, and if they still think that they can get me on board, it'll be fabulous and I'll be more than willing to give my 100%. So then they asked me, what would you be interested in? And wahin se conversation huma, and luckily of the seven of us, that I mean 7 people from IT were selected, and I was one of them who made it to that prestigious internship program in Barclays Capital. तो उस समय वैसे ही बहुत लगा कि भाई दुनिया को फतेह कर लिया था. यू हैड कंकर्ड द मार्स, द मून, एवरीथिंग ऑल अराउंड, ऑल प्लैनेट्स वर अंडर योर कंट्रोल. उस समय लगा. And we went for an internship in Singapore. Singapore, of the few of you or of the most of you who've been to Singapore, it's a fabulous city. बहुत अच्छी जगह है, इंडिया से ज़्यादा दूर नहीं है, तो घर की याद भी नहीं आती. You see Indians every nook and cranny. So I loved the place. I liked the organization also, Barclays Capital, but I wasn't really impressed with the body of work that they wanted me to do. So it was again, it was technical. It was programming based. It was something which was based on coding and all of that. And another funny incident that happened was my boss in Barclays Capital was this Australian gentleman. और जब मैं पहले दिन उनके पास पहुंचा, तो उन्होंने पहले मेरा नाम पूछा जैसे पूछते हैं. फिर उन्होंने पूछा कहाँ से हो भाई, इंडिया में कहाँ से हो. I said, "I'm from IIT Roorkee and I stay in Delhi." Then he said, what all languages do you? Now, I was so unused to the fact that languages here meant computer languages. I said, sir, I know Hindi and English. And for a second, he was stumped. कि भाई मैं ऐसे कंप्यूटर लैंग्वेजेस पूछ रहा हूँ और ये मुझे लैंग्वेजेस बता रहा है कि इसको क्या आता है. So I was that you know disinterested in coding and all that. So I didn't like the body of work. 70 दिन बहुत अच्छे बीते, हम 7 लोग थे, तो बहुत अच्छा भी रहा. It was a great experience. But I was not at all interested in the work that they were offering to us. So वो third year के internship के बाद then you get something called a pre-placement offer, isn't it? And if the company really likes you, they give you a pre-placement offer. So I was about 70-75% certain that I would get a pre-placement offer. Uh, and again, another golden moment came in my life where I had to decide कि मैं उनको pre-placement offer देने दूं and then I say no, or should I be honest enough and tell them, look, I don't want this job, give it to someone else who's interested in doing it. And because you see, at some point in time you need to realize that an opportunity that you turned down meant something very very big to someone else. मतलब आपको अगर कोई opportunity आती है and if you let it down or if you let it go, for someone else it's their dream, right? I mean, you might have preferred IIT Roorkee over DCE or let's say BITS Pilani, but BITS Pilani and DC are also dream colleges for someone else, right? And you're making a choice and saying कि भाई नहीं मैं BITS नहीं जाऊंगा या मैं DC नहीं जाऊंगा, right? So I kind of thought on those lines and I said that, let's be again honest with them, like I was honest with them in the interview. And let's tell them in the beginning itself that I don't want the PPO. Please give it to someone else who deserves it and who would do it also, do the body of work that is demanded from this role in a better manner. So I wrote a nice little mail to the HR in Barclays Capital, to which I got a very nice reply. I got a very heartwarming reply, and they said, "We appreciate your honesty, and we're glad that you let us know beforehand, and we wish you all the best." So this was me in fourth year, first semester, turning down a PPO from Barclays Capital, and that's when I decided that I will also not appear for placement. And I don't know why. I mean, I was doing very well academically. Was doing very well, touch wood. And सब चीज ठीक था. CAT नहीं देना था because I didn't want to go to a big school. What I did want to do, of course, was do a master's program from one of the Ivy Leagues. Now, it's a very broad, uh, it's a very broad field to be interested in कि हाँ भाई मुझे masters करना है Ivy League से. So then the entire process of selection came कि भाई masters किस चीज में करना है. So do you want to do a core engineering masters? Uh, that was okay. I mean, I was thinking about that. Do you want to do an interdisciplinary masters in, let's say, energy economics or environment and energy? Because I was from electrical engineering. तो वो हम सिलेक्शन कर रहे थे एंड व्हाइल इन दैट प्रोसेस ऑफ सिलेक्टिंग आई टुक माय जीआरई दैट टाइम. आई एम श्योर अभी भी लोग जीआरई ही देते हैं टू काइंड ऑफ गेट इनटू द मास्टर्स प्रोग्राम. So I took my GRE. I scored decently well in GRE. Mm, it's not very difficult to score well in GRE, and I'm sure a lot of you who've taken it would vouch for it कि maths तो बहुत आसान होता है. इंग्लिश वाला जो उसका पार्ट होता है दैट्स अ लिटिल डिफिकल्ट एंड आल्सो उस समय एसेज होते थे. आई डोंट नो वेदर देयर आर एसेज राइट नाउ. So I took the GRE. I had a decent score, and at that point in time, I don't know. I was riding a very high horse. So the high horse that I was riding was that I was thinking कि भाई मेरा तो CGPA is very good, CG is very good. I was also involved in cognizance. Uh, Cogni जिसको बोलते हैं. I was the convener for Cognizance also. Then I was in the SAC Student Affairs Council in the third year also as a nominated member. So I was riding a very high horse कि भाई मैं ही हूँ जो हूँ रुड़की में और कोई है ही नहीं. And I have everything going my way, and why wouldn't an Ivy League college take me? And I'll be an asset to that educational institution and all that. So I took my GRE. I didn't appear for the placements, and GRE दिया उसके बाद अप्लाई भी किया. So and in my vanity and in my sense of entitlement कि भाई मेरा तो हो ही जाएगा, I just applied for 5-6 colleges, the top 5. And time moved on. लोगों का placement हुआ December 2011 में लोगों के placements हो रहे थे, and I was very happy for my batchmates. A lot of them made it to Slum, a lot of them made it to Shell. Barclays Capital के PPOs आ गए थे at that point in time. And then in the final semester 4-2, uh, results announce होने शुरू हो गए for the master's entrance program. a lot of my batchmates who had applied for core engineering masters, they made it. So some of them went to UC San Diego. One of them went to UC Amherst, UMass Amherst, and good colleges, very good colleges. One of them went to Georgia Tech. So they did very well. And जब मेरा result आता था, तो the first time I got the result, it was online, and it was literally as if I could feel my heart in my mouth. I was that nervous कि क्या होगा, because नौकरी कर नहीं रहे थे, GMAT या कैट दिया नहीं था, एंड PPO आने वाला अगर होता तो उसको भी मना कर दिया था. So the first rejection came, and I remember the first rejection was from MIT that I had applied, and it was as if the entire world had crashed in. And here I was, who had thought कि भाई मेरे पास सब चीज है, how Amitabh Bachchan says मेरे पास घर है, बंगला है, गाड़ी है. So I was like मेरे पास GP है, मेरे पास SAC का experience है, मेरे पास cognitive का experience है, and still I've been rejected by MIT. And then I got 4 other rejections as well. So जहाँ जहाँ पांचों जगह मैंने apply किया था, I was rejected by all 5 of them. And in hindsight, in retrospect, I think it was fabulous that that happened to me. और मैं रिजेक्ट हुआ. आई मीन अब उस समय तो बहुत गुस्सा आता था. उस समय लगता था कि भाई आप यू आर डिपार्टमेंट रैंक 1 एंड यू हैव नो फ्यूचर. और सुनते थे ना कि इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेजेस से आजकल बच्चे निकल के निकम्मे रहते हैं. तो आई वाज लिटरली दैट निकम्मा बच्चा लीविंग IIT Roorkee with nothing. So there was a brief period in time when I was very very upset with my life choices, and there was massive regret कि मैंने क्यों मना किया PPO के लिए, या मैं क्यों प्लेसमेंट में नहीं बैठा, and all of that. And I remember I had a conversation at home, uh, I think about a month before I left Roorkee finally in 2012. I had a conversation at home, and my mother said कि भाई सीधे सीधे घर आ जाओ, घर आके फिर देखेंगे कि क्या करना है. अभी तुम घर आ जाओ, डोंट बी वेरी frazzled about. तो जैसा माता जी का आदेश था, I went home, and for 1 month I just didn't think about it. I was blank. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what was planned next. Um, and it was probably the time when look कहते हैं ना आजकल कि you need to spend time with yourself. It's a very Gen Z thing to say कि भाई we have to spend time with ourselves. We need to give time to yourself. So I think in 2012 I realized what it means in the month of May, what it means to spend time. And I think that 1 month that I got, 1.5 months that I got for myself was probably the best time that I had, because I had absolutely no idea कि क्या होने वाला है. एंड जितना टेंशन होता था उतने अपने आप में हंसी भी आती थी कि कितने मूर्ख हो तुम जो तुमने ये अपने साथ कर लिया. एंड दैट वाज द टाइम आई गॉट टू स्पेंड एट होम. 4 साल कॉलेज में रहने के बाद 1 महीने घर पे पूरा हमने बिताया. एंड आई जस्ट रियलाइज दैट आई एम गोइंग टू ट्राई अगेन एंड प्रॉब्ली ट्राई बेटर at things in the future and think more maturely. फिर उसके बाद क्या हुआ that I was since I was staying in Delhi, I was applying to a lot of organizations which could give me exposure to apply for a master's program. And World Bank, I'm sure all of you have heard about it. World Bank and IMF and UN, United Nations. So a short way, according to me, to land up in a interdisciplinary master's program, let's say in energy and economics or energy and environment, was through the World Bank or the UN or IMF, and so on and so forth. So I applied to the World Bank, and they have something called a short-term consultancy (STC). Usually, masters graduates are taken in, but if you have a great academic record and if you're able to impress upon them why you're a good fit for this project, they take you in. So I was working on an energy and environment project funded by the World Bank, working with the government of India and the government of Gujarat, Maharashtra, and Tamil Nadu. So it was an intersectoral program. आपने सुना होगा there's something called carbon credits, right? Like, for example, if you are an organization which is a green organization, कि आपका जो emissions है, carbon emissions है, वो कम है, so you get something called a carbon credit, and you can sell that credit to an organization which is emitting more and get money. So it's basically cross subsidization, and you have to fix a cap. So it was happening that time, or up to it's a very big thing happening in India, and a lot of municipal corporations such as Indore are also doing it. For those of you who are from Indore. So I worked on the World Bank project, and my single point agenda was to kind of land into a master's program um, in one of the Ivy Leagues and an interdisciplinary program. While I was working in the World Bank on a project of JPAL, Jameel Poverty Action Lab, we interacted with a lot of civil servants at that point in time. It'll be pertinent to mention right now that my parents are also civil servants, but ghar ki murgi dal barabar. So you don't look at your parents as civil servants, you look at them as mummy and papa, right? तो कभी भी you're never impressed by what they do. अगर मम्मी आपकी टीचर भी है तो you're like हाँ टीचर ही है ना, या अगर आपके फादर अगर इंस्पेक्टर भी हैं तो आपको लगता है हाँ थानेदार है ना, इट्स ओके. बट व्हेन यू इंटरैक्ट विद सिविल सर्वेंट्स हु आर नॉट योर फ्रॉम योर फैमिली, तो ये पता चलता है कि फिर क्या हाउ डज द गवर्नमेंट वर्क and what is where the problems lie and where the citizenry also has to step up and help in the process of governance. So I worked with the World Bank for about 6-7 months, and we worked with secretaries to the government of India who had put in 35 years of service in the government. We worked with state governments, and while we were researchers and we had people who had done their masters and PhD program from Harvard and MIT and Stanford and Princeton, the ultimate decision makers were civil servants. You know, we were just people who guided them, who gave them certain reports, but a lot of the knowledge that we were giving them was very theoretical. It was all regression based, it was randomized control trials, it was modeling, and it was everything that you do on MATLAB. Electrical engineering में control systems में पिल्ले सर हम लोग को करवाते थे MATLAB का बहुत problems, and we used to give in data and all of that. So it was very theoretical. I mean, where do you ever use a Bode plot in your real life, right? I mean, no offense, but you don't use it. You use it on MATLAB, right? So while we were uh, we were giving them suggestions, a lot of it was also being turned down because you had to see the behavioral aspect of things. So these IS officers and these civil servants were kind of also looking at ground level situation क्या है और इंडस्ट्री रेगुलेशन अगर होगा तो उससे क्या नुकसान होगा, प्रोडक्टिविटी कैसे कम होगी इंडस्ट्रीज की अगर हम कार्बन लिमिट्स लगा देते हैं इंडस्ट्रीज पे एंड सो ऑन एंड सो फॉर्थ. Something that we were only factoring in theoretically, but we didn't know the practical aspect. I think at that point in time, I kind of realized that if I am to do a master's program or a PhD program and come back and work in this environment where I'm not the ultimate decision maker, uh, is it worth it? Right? So that was another, that was another golden moment for me to decide yes or no, whether I want to do this or I don't want to do this. So at the time when I was again confused, this was 2012 end, November-ish. I went back to my parents and I asked, that this is the turmoil that I'm facing, and what am I to do with the choices that I have now. तो उस समय मुझे याद है कि my mother she told me कि मुझे तो सबसे पहले से ही पता था कि तुम और कुछ कर नहीं पाओगे जीवन में apart from civil services. You are genetically made for civil services, and there's a joke in our family also that हम लोग कुछ नहीं कर सकते apart from being सरकारी नौकरी. अगर हमें कोई कह दे बी अ बिजनेसमैन विल बी हॉरिबल एट इट, अगर कोई हमें कह दे बी अ रिसर्चर विल बी हॉरिबल एट इट, बी अ प्रोफेसर विल प्रोबब्ली फेल एवरीवन एंड बी किक्ड आउट ऑफ कॉलेज. तो ये हमें लगता था. तो दैट वाज द टाइम आई वेंट बैक टू बुक्स एंड we started. I mean, I say we because whenever you prepare for such an examination, which is not like JEE. JEE is a very structured examination. JEE में आपको topics, concepts या तो आपको आते हैं या आपको नहीं आते. There is no कि हाँ मुझे ये concept rotational momentum का concept मुझे थोड़ा आता है. There's nothing like थोड़ा, या तो आता है या नहीं आता है. It's as simple as that. Whereas in civil services, it's basically testing your knowledge from class 6th up until the day that you take the examination. So since you're probably 10 years old till let's say you're 22 or 23 or 25 or 30 whenever you take this examination, वो पूरे 15-20 साल का knowledge उस examination में check होता है. So whenever you're preparing for such an examination, it is not just you who's taking that examination, it is your entire family, because a lot of hopes are resting on you. A lot of dreams and aspirations are resting on you, and your parents also get completely involved in what you're doing. तो वही हुआ. So when we decided to take this examination in the year 2013, I went back to the NCRTs and the books that I had left probably 10, 12 years ago. I connected with my school teachers and I said, मैडम वो उस समय के notes अगर आपके पास हैं या अभी के notes आपके पास हैं तो मुझे please class 9th 10th 11th 12th. अच्छा 11th 12th में हमने PCM पढ़ा था. I hadn't done humanities because you know for IIT you can't study. So I went back to my school teachers and I went to teachers who were teaching in class 11th and 12th. And उनके जो notes थे NCRT के वो मैंने लिए. And I kind of went back to going back to where it all started. I mean, that's, you know, life is always about going ahead and then going back. So, for example, I left Roorkee at the age of 18 only to come back at 22 and stay at home for a month, not knowing what to do. Similarly, at the age of 22, I went back to school and I started taking notes that I had taken about 10, 12 years ago to prepare for this examination. It is the civil services examination is uh, is one of the toughest examinations in the world. Not because the not because the level of difficulty is very high. Let me tell you, level of difficulty is higher in the JE because in JE you have to be very clear in your concepts, right? It is a very tough examination on two accounts. One, that the competition is very stiff. So for about 700 positions or 800 positions, there are 7 to 8 lakh people appearing for this examination. So that is about 0.1% or 1 in 1,000 who will make it to the civil services. And if you're aspiring for, अगर आप aspire कर रहे हो कि भाई आपको IAS officer बनना है या आपको एक पुलिस वाला बनना है, so then that's the top 200 ranks, right? So उसका फिर probability आप और देख लीजिए और कम हो जाता है उसका probability. So it's tough because of competition and two it's tough because JEE जो है वो एक दिन का examination होता है, right? आप मतलब अब तो हो गया मेंस और एडवांस्ड हो गया बट हमारे समय में JEE used to be a one day examination, paper 1 and paper 2. The civil services is a 1 year long examination. So uh, in the first step you take something called the prelims examination, which is a multiple choice um, M, MCQs होते हैं इसमें with negative marks. अगर आप वो क्वालिफाई करते हो तो फिर उसके बाद आप मेंस एग्जामिनेशन लिखते हो which is a proper 7 sets of exams you have to take. So there's essay, there's Hindi, there's English, there's general studies. General studies में everything under the world comes: history, geography, political science, economics, disaster management, science and technology, ethics, integrity, topics that you don't even hear on a daily basis, like terrorism and combating terrorism, and so on and so forth. So that's about 4 examinations, and then 2 of your mains. So मेरा जैसे electrical engineering मैंने लिया था, I stuck with what I knew, although I didn't score very well, and I'm ashamed of that fact. But it was a decision that I took because there was a sense of familiarity with electrical engineering, and and I was more inclined towards spending time on general studies rather than such studying a new subject altogether and diverting my time to that new subject. A lot of engineering graduates take political science, public administration, physics, maths. फिजिक्स मैथ्स तो चलिए तभी पढ़ते हैं हम लोग बट पॉलिटिकल साइंस, पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, हिस्ट्री, एंथ्रोपोलॉजी, ये सब जो सब्जेक्ट्स होते हैं इसमें काफी समय लगता है. सो काफी समय लगता है एंड आई ऑलवेज थॉट दैट वी शुड फोकस मोर ऑन द जनरल स्टडीज सब्जेक्ट बिकॉज वो 1,000 नंबर का 1750 में से आउट ऑफ 1750 मार्क्स 1,000 मार्क्स आर फॉर जनरल स्टडीज. सो I thought we should spend more time on that. So thus started my preparation for civil services. At the outset, let me tell you, it is not, and I repeat, it is not an exam of intelligence. It is not an exam which tests whether you are a DR1 or an IR1. अगर यही होता तो यूपीएससी जो एग्जाम कंडक्ट करती है, यूपीएससी इज यूनियन पब्लिक सर्विस कमीशन, वो इतनी बेवकूफ तो है नहीं कि वो इतना बड़ा एग्जाम कंडक्ट करेगी विद लॉजिस्टिकल नाइटमेयर. वो जाती आईआईटी रुड़की के IR1 2 3 को उठा लेती, आईआईटी बॉम्बे के IR1 2 3 को उठा लेती, डीयू के टॉपर्स को उठा लेते, राइट? तो अगर ये एग्जामिनेशन सबके लिए खुला है तो दिस इज नॉट एन एग्जामिनेशन ऑफ समवंस इंटेलिजेंस, बट इट इज एन एग्जामिनेशन ऑफ समवंस पेशेंस। आप कितने पेशेंटली वो 1 साल का आप टाइम निकाल पाते हैं, या आप कितने पेशेंटली, अगर आप नहीं हो पाता है पहले अटेम्प्ट में तो कैसे आप सेकंड अटेम्प्ट के लिए तैयारी करते हो, सेकंड में नहीं होता है तो थर्ड अटेम्प्ट। सो पेशेंस एंड परसेवरेंस basically are tested in this examination, and also how how much you are serious as a candidate in giving your hard work. तो इंटेलिजेंस का एग्जाम नहीं है, बट इट्स एन एग्जाम ऑफ पेशेंस, परसिवरेंस एंड हार्ड। तो अगर आप हार्ड वर्किंग है, अगर आप में पेशेंस है, so there is nothing in this world that can stop you from getting into the civil services. So 2013 I took this examination for the first time, and I got a rank of 145, and I chose the Indian Revenue Service, which is the direct taxes, income tax. आपके parents भरते होंगे, some of you must be filing income tax returns also. So that department. Um, if you see, जैसे IITs में भी होता है ना कि the top branch is civil, is computer science, and फिर उसके बाद हमारे समय में electronics होता था, फिर electrical, and then so on and so forth. वैसे ही civil services में भी एक hierarchy है. So the topmost service is the Indian Administrative Service, the IAS, जिसका जिसका सबसे उजागर एग्जाम्पल अगर आपके सामने हो तो जिसको हम बोलते हैं कलेक्टर, या यूपी में बोलते हैं डीएम, पंजाब में बोलते हैं डीसी, हरियाणा में डीसी बोलते हैं. So in UP it's called DM, and in Bihar it's called collector. In MP it's called collector. So uska the most live example of the IS is the DM or the collector or the DC. And then of course is the foreign service, who become ambassadors to different countries. And there's the police service, where you become superintendents of police, SP साहब जिसको बोलते हैं, जो आते हैं तो बहुत लगता है कि भाई बहुत कोई स्टार्ट आदमी आ गया है, and उस तरीके का. So there was a hierarchy in the civil services also. So I joined the Indian Revenue Service in my first attempt, but I thought that I wanted to get into the Indian Administrative Service to make a to use my abilities to the best way, in the best way possible. So फिर हमने 2014 में second attempt दिया, and I landed up with a rank of 57 in my second attempt. And I got the IS, I got the UP cadre, which was one of my preferences. And God has been kind, to be very honest, because a lot of luck plays a major factor in this. आपका इंटरव्यू कैसे होता है उस दिन, आपका नेगेटिव मार्किंग में कैसे आपने किया, आपके जो आंसर्स हैं उस दिन जो आपने आंसर्स लिखे वो शायद जो एग्जामिनर होगा उसको अपील कर जाए, अगर कोई और एग्जामिनर होता तो उसको अपील नहीं करता. See, so that's the difference. It's not like JE, where you are given that x plus y equal to 5, y equal to 3, find x. So the answer is 2. And the answer cannot be anything but 2. JE is very, very deterministic. If you take this exam and if you know you've done correctly, you'll get the marks and you'll make it. Civil services is not like that. So there's luck, but that luck factor is overcome by the fact that you are patient, perseverant, and hardworking. So then I landed up in the UP cadre, and my first posting was Mathura. I was a trainee officer, also called a probationer, in Mathura. And all of you must have heard that we have something called the general elections in India. मतलब Prime Minister चुनते हैं हम लोग Chief Minister चुनते हैं, right? So 2017 when I joined the UP cadre in Mathura was the election year here in 2017. और मैं एक ट्रेनिंग ऑफिसर था, और मुझे इलेक्शन का पहली बार पता चला कि हम क्या करते हैं. हम तो कभी कभी वोट देने भी नहीं जाते हैं. वी थिंक कि छुट्टी का दिन है, कहाँ जाना है यार, घर पे बैठो. बट द इंटायर एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव मशीनरी दैट गोज इनटू enabling someone to cast their vote is sheer brilliance. मतलब हम कहते हैं ना कि कोई मशीन अगर 100% एफिशिएंसी पे काम करती है तो उसको हम बोलते हैं कि आइडियल मशीन है, या आइडियल साइकिल, मशीन साइकिल है उसका. Elections come very close to that. जो भी electoral machinery होती है, that is probably the most well-oiled machine in the bureaucracy. I'm not talking about any other system, but elections for one are the most efficient mechanical systems in the bureaucracy because of multiple reasons. One, there is no political interference when there is election. So a bureaucrat is, or a civil servant is made to follow the rule of law irrespective of who the person in power is or who the person in opposition is. Point number one. Point number two, the rules and guidelines are laid down brilliantly. There is no scope for ambiguity. जैसे हम लोग कोई लॉ पढ़ते हैं ethics का, तो उसमें there is no scope for ambiguity. Right? Similarly, in elections, there is no scope for ambiguity. Everything is very, very clearly laid out. So I had a very good experience for elections, and which kind of made me realize that the job that I've gotten into is something that I like, because it's, I mean, on a very small scale, I was responsible for मथुरा वृंदावन असेंबली कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी, जहाँ पे उस साल में लगभग 3 लाख लोगों ने वोट कास्ट किए थे 450 सेंटर्स पे, 450 बूथ्स पे. So to enable 3 lakh people to cast their votes at 450 booths in EVMs, which is electronic voting machines, and then to declare the results correctly. I mean, it's a logistical nightmare which only civil servants can do. I don't think a private sector person can do this, um, to the best of my knowledge. I don't think there can be a substitute for this in the private sector or in any other area of governance. So my election, my experience in Mathura was, of course, the highlight of my experience in Mathura in 2016-17 was the elections. Then I moved to Jhansi on my first substantive posting. वहाँ पे I was actively involved in starting the Jhansi airport. So this is the year 2017. I don't know whether some of you are from Jhansi or not, but Jhansi में एक airport है army area में. So we were responsible for starting that airport for civilian operations also. Flights from Jhansi to Lucknow, Jhansi to Delhi. So I was involved in that, and then there was obviously uh, other things like development work. So we started the first public library in Jhansi. It's called the Atal Bihari Vajpayee Public Library. If you're from Jhansi, so we built that structure. We got books for that library, and that was the first public library that was started by us in Jhansi. And then from Jhansi, I moved on my second posting to Aligarh. Aligarh was very challenging because उसी समय वो I don't know whether you people are aware of it or not, but there was something called the anti-CAA and NRC protests that were happening all over the country. And Aligarh mein we have something called the Aligarh Muslim University (AMU), which was a hotbed of anti-CAA and NRC protests after Jamia and Delhi. So that was a very challenging time and you can't really use force on students. Students are inherently very, very emotional. They feel for things very strongly, and they do what they feel like. So the only way you can deal with such students and such institutions is to engage with them, to talk to them. कि भाई क्या समस्या है? Let's have a conversation and let's not get hyper about it. So Aligarh was challenging for that, and of course, COVID hit us in the year 2020. So a lot of us have lost our dear ones in COVID also. But when the first wave of COVID came, none of us were sure कि भाई करना क्या है इसमें. You can fight an enemy that you see, right? आपको पता होना चाहिए ना कि हाँ भाई ये अभी आदमी मुझे मारने आ रहा है या ये कुत्ता मुझे काट लेगा, right? And that's how you'll be able to save yourself. How do you fight an enemy that you can't see? So, and it was an experience that I don't think any bureaucrat in their living history has ever seen. The Spanish flu was in the year 1912, 1913, 1920, 21, sorry. That was about 100 years back. I don't think any living bureaucrat would have seen that Spanish flu, and of course, it was in Europe. Um, but that was a major challenge in how to help people. जब लॉकडाउन लगा उनके घर पे राशन कैसे भिजवाएं, जो लोग दिल्ली या बम्बई में स्टक थे, जो वर्कर्स थे उनको वापस कैसे लाया जाए. अगर यूपी में कोई घुस गया है, let's say I was in Aligarh, and a lot of these workers, migrant workers, were walking from Delhi and going as far as Bihar and Bengal, and वो चले ही जा रहे थे, चले ही जा रहे थे. I remember there was this one lady who had delivered her child in front of us in Aligarh. She was walking, 8 months, 9 months pregnant. She was walking, and when she came to Aligarh, she delivered her child on the road because all hospitals were closed. So how do we give her medical care, and how do we take care of that newborn child? So वो सारी चीजें हुई. That was a very challenging time. Um, uh, Probably the most enriching experience that I had. And then I moved to Mathura last year. Um, uh, in the month of March. So I've completed about 13 months here. I moved to Mathura last year. We faced the second wave of COVID, and that was very tiring and very tough on all of us. So, how do we supply oxygen to hospitals? How do we get patients to hospitals where they get oxygen? कैसे रेमडेसिविर मिलेगा, कैसे टोसिलिजुमैब मिलेगा, कैसे आप राशनिंग करेंगे एंटीबायोटिक्स का, फैविपिरावीर का, एंटीवायरल ड्रग्स का. So all of that was on us, and of course now Mathura Vrindavan is an international spiritual tourist hub. A lot of people, I mean, on a yearly basis, we get about 20 million tourists who come to Mathura Vrindavan, tourists who come to Mathura Vrindavan, and they expect a certain level of public service delivery in terms of, proper roads, proper sanitation, safai theek honi chahiye, uh, proper water supply, electricity supply, and so on and so forth. So that's the next challenging job that I'm looking at in urban governance. Um, Now that I've spoken for almost 35 minutes, I'll just give you three basic points from all of this that I've shared with you. I've given you a very personal account of what I have been through in the past 10 years because I graduated from Roorkee in 2012 and it's 2022. And that's how I'm summing up my journey from IIT Roorkee to the IAS. There are three lessons that I have to give you, or three mantras that I have to give you without sounding very pedantic, without sounding very strict about it. But I think I should share it with you because you are at a point in your life where you have multiple avenues in front of you. You can choose to be a researcher, you can choose to be a banker, you can choose to be a civil servant, you can choose to be a teacher, you can choose to be um, anything that you want. You can choose to be an army man also if you want, or a lady in uniform if you want. The world is your oyster, the world is your stage. But three lessons that I learned that I think I should share with you is that sometimes it's okay not to know what is going to happen next. We spend a lot of time planning our life. कि भाई मैं फर्स्ट ईयर में जाऊंगा, मैं फर्स्ट ईयर के बाद ये इंटर्नशिप कर लूंगा, सेकंड ईयर के बाद वहां पे कर लूंगा, जर्मनी चला जाऊंगा, थर्ड ईयर के बाद मैं बार्कलेज कैपिटल चला जाऊंगा, फोर्थ ईयर में मैं प्लेसमेंट में बैठ के मैं फोड़ो टाइप की नौकरी ले लूंगा एंड माई लाइफ इज सॉर्टेड. समटाइम्स इट्स ओके नॉट टू नो व्हाट इज हैपनिंग. समटाइम्स it's okay when someone asks you what is your plan, Anunay, or what is your plan, what do you want to do next. Sometimes it's okay to say I don't know, and let me think. There's no pressure. It's absolutely okay not to know what is planned, right? That's lesson number one. Lesson number two is that at all these times when you don't know what is going to happen next, you you kind of start doubting yourself. आपको ना अपने आप पे डाउट होने लगता है, आप अपने आप को सेकंड गेस करने लगते हैं कि am I okay, am I good, am I bad, मेरे से हो पाएगा, मैंने अपनी लाइफ कहीं बर्बाद तो नहीं कर दी, and so on and so forth. At those times when you're at your lowest, you need to believe in yourself, and you need to say that this is a phase and it will end. The moment you tell yourself that this is a phase and this is not something which is going to define my entire life, you allow magic to happen. And if you start getting scared, if you start uh, losing patience, अगर आप पैनिक करने लगते हैं, then you start going down a downward spiral. You start going down a spiral which is very bad. You go into you are traumatized by your experiences. So believe in yourself. Be patient. Let magic happen, and trust me, it will. Because when you look at the sum total of life, like I'm going to complete 31 years um, next month. I mean this month now. It's April already. Yeah. So I'm going to be 31 this month in a few days, and I look back at my life 25 years that I remember. In averages, I am grateful for everything that happened. Even if I didn't get a job, even if I rejected or I said no to a PPO, even if I was rejected by Ivy League colleges, I'm at a space and a place that I'm very, very happy with. And I have all the lords in heaven to thank for that. So, second mantra is believe in yourself and let the magic happen. And the last piece of advice, or the last, the piece of mantra that I would want to give to you is that always be open to a challenge. Never ever shy away from a challenge. अगर कोई चुनौती आपको आती है, अगर आपको लगता है कि आपको कोई चैलेंज आ रहा है, तो कभी भी उससे मना मत कीजिए. Because whenever you close a door to a challenge, you are missing an opportunity. So for example, some of you may not be good singers. They say, I was a very bad singer, but if someone asked me to sing on stage, I will still go up and sing. I may make a complete fool out of myself. That's fine. There'll be let's say 100 people laughing at me, but it's a challenge that I take, and maybe it gives me an opportunity to discover something new about myself, right? So never ever shy away from a challenge. अगर पिल्ले सर बहुत quizzes देते हैं, so take them. Don't bother about the result. Um, but take it up as a challenge because it will be an opportunity to learn something about yourself. So again, I'll just sum it up. It's okay not to know what is going to happen next. Two, always believe in yourself. If you're patient, if you believe in yourself, magic will happen. And three, always be open to challenges because whenever you close a door, you miss out on an opportunity. So never ever miss out on an opportunity. It may not be a favorable outcome, but it will be an outcome from which you will learn. Right? With that, I think I have exceeded my brief, and I've almost completed what I had to tell all of you. I'm sure all of you are much smarter than I am, but the little bit that I was asked to share, I did. Do you think I should take questions now? Because I think we have a positive time.
Yes, sir, we may.
I get a question here. Neerav, can I just first take the questions here, and then I can come to you? Is that okay? Because
Yes,
I
sir,
see. Yeah.
we'll have
First, let me
questions
take the
from the audience
questions.
afterwards. We'll
Yeah,
have questions
that
from
makes
the
sense.
audience afterwards. Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So
So,
the first. Sorry. So I'm going to take the questions that I have with me right now first, and then I'm going to come back if we have time. We'll take the questions from the audience also. So the first question is, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey? At what point did you exactly know what you're going to do? How did you eventually make that happen? So I think 40 minutes मैंने यही बताया है. I've just told you. Can I tell you a little bit about myself? I've told you. Um, about my journey. I've told you. At what point did you exactly know what you're going to do? Told you the World Bank, and my experience with bureaucrats and civil servants. How did you eventually make that happen? Told you as well. So I think the 40 minutes of my talk have been focusing on this. So I'll consider this question closed. The second question is, most often it is seen that students go after jobs to earn the top buck. What was the motivation behind your story? Yes, that's true. Um, in fact, the reason why I went for the Barclays Capital internship was because the stipend was fabulous. काफी ज़्यादा पैसे मिल रहे थे Barclays Capital. And it's true. I mean, look, if your motivation is to earn money and have a plush lifestyle, go for it. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong in wanting to earn 2 crore rupees a year. There's nothing wrong with it. Um, but if you want to come to the civil services, you have to leave behind that sense of longing for money and that sense of luxury. Um, because this, I mean, truth be told, I earn about 75,000 rupees a month. That's my salary. After putting in 7 years of service, I'm getting 75,000 rupees a month. Plus, I get a house, I get a car. The perks and benefits are there. That's there, of course. Um, but it's very unfair for me to compare with a batchmate of mine who started a startup and has got an angel investor investing about, let's say, 10 crore rupees in a startup. I mean, it's a very unfair comparison to do. कि भाई वो तो 10 करोड़ रुपए का मालिक हो गया और मैं तो 75,000 रुपए का मालिक. So while a lot of people appear for the civil services because एक सोशल स्टैंडर्ड और एक सोशल स्टेटस होता है सिविल सर्विसेज का. अगर आप पैसे के लिए आ रहे हैं तो यू विल बी वेरी डिसअपॉइंटेड एंड देन यू विल गो डाउन अ पाथ ऑफ dishonesty and lack of integrity which will not land you up anywhere. And the public today is very demanding. They know who an honest officer is and who a dishonest officer is, and you will be taken to task, you will be punished. And हम लोग तो कॉलेज में हमें मेमो मिल जाता था तो बहुत हमें डर लगता था. यहाँ पे तो much worse things happen if you are dishonest and not loyal to your job. So my motivation behind joining the civil service is very simple. I come from a background of civil servants. Um, I'm very lucky. I'm very blessed to be born to such parents. And so the aspiration for money was not very strong. The aspiration was that I need to have a good standard of living, which this job gives me. You know, this job gives me good social status. It gives me a decent salary. It gives me all the perks and benefits that I need. And so that was my motivation. It'll be a lie if I come to you and I tell you that मैं ना देश बदलना चाहता था और मैं चाहता हूँ कि मैं समाज को बदल दूँ and all of that. While I want to make a change, but that wasn't something that uh, I mean, it wasn't a revolutionary streak in me to do it. It was one of the things that I wanted to do apart from having a safe and secure job. So that would probably be my motivation, and obviously make decisions, which will kind of affect change. Uh, the point number three was the question number three is what were the major challenges faced by you in your journey? I think the major challenges that I faced in my journey was coming back to the fact that I wanted to take the civil service. I mean, बचपन से मुझे सिविल सर्वेंट बनना ही नहीं था. I always wanted to I always wanted to go out of the country and probably settle out, as a researcher or as a professor or as whatever in an organization which does that. तो मुझे सिविल सर्वेंट कभी बनना ही नहीं था. To kind of come back and to convince myself that no, this is what I want to do. Um, that was the biggest challenge. And that 1 month that I was with myself and that stint with the World Bank, जब मैं लोगों को मना करता था कि मुझे भाई मेरे से सब बात कर लो, मेरे से सिविल सर्विसेज की बात मत करो, and then to finally come to terms with the fact that I was wrong all through and that this is the job that I want to do. I think that was a major challenge to kind of accept that I was wrong. And then, of course, the second biggest challenge was to be patient for that entire year of examinations. I'm a very impatient person. I want my, in psychology, there's a term called delayed gratification. So which says कि आपको वो होता है ना, हिंदी में कहते हैं ना, सब्र का फल मीठा होता है. So delayed gratification says that you will be gratified but in a delayed manner. तो जो लोग को delayed gratification होता है, they are okay with the fact कि उनको gratification late मिले. They're very mature people. Whereas I'm not. If I do something good, I want the praises right now. You can ask Pillai sir, जब भी quiz होता था, I would probably tell him कि sir जल्दी result बताओ क्या हुआ, you know. And so that was a major challenge to kind of be patient and to persevere through this examination. The fourth question is the requirement of a coaching genuine or the preparation can be managed without any coaching? That's a very personal question. I took coaching only to know what is the frame of reference of this examination. कि भाई ये कहाँ से किताबें सोर्स कर रहे हैं इस एग्जामिनेशन के लिए और क्या जनरल ट्रेंड्स है, राइट? Whereas I know a lot of people who did not take any coaching and who kind of managed it on their own also. Uh, but one thumb rule that you need to know is for this examination that you need to practice your answers very very well. जैसे आप जेई के लिए क्वेश्चन पेपर सॉल्व करते हो ना, आप टेस्ट सीरीज लेते हो, वैसे ही सिविल सर्विसेज के लिए आपको टेस्ट सीरीज लेना बहुत जरूरी होता है बिकॉज दैट गिव्स यू आंसर राइटिंग प्रैक्टिस and it gives you a sense of what kind of questions are being asked. So you may or may not go to a coaching institute, but I will strongly recommend that you take a test series for prelims and for mains and for the interview also, the interview guidance program, because they tell you a lot of things about yourself that you ignore. For example, मेरी अभी भी आदत है, I am very I use my hands a lot while I'm speaking. I'm very dramatic that way. So in the interview guidance program, I was told not to use my hand, because it just shows that I'm underconfident about what I'm trying to say. So that's why I'm using my hands to say what I want to say, right? So these are small little things that you need to pay attention to. आप अपना हाथ कब use करते हो? You use it only when you want to, when you're not sure about how verbally you're communicating. So for example, अगर गुस्सा आता है तो हम ये वाला दिखाते हैं ना, ये gesture, या हम ये दिखाते हैं ना मुक्का, क्यों दिखाते हैं? To kind of express ourselves better, right? So I was told that in the interview we need to kind of express more verbally and not physically, right? Now, question number 5 is, if we are clear that we have to pursue a career as a civil servant, what is the ideal time to start preparation in college? Now, I told you I started preparation after college, right? So I started after I graduated, 6 months after. But I do know some people who started graduating in college itself, I think third year or fourth year. Um, Again, it's a very personal question. There's no right time to start in college. Um, but I strongly urge all of you to enjoy college life while you're there. To take part in all activities that interest you, to take part in all academic, non-academic, sporting, non-sporting activities, and to have a good college life. Because the past 2 years have taught, if anything, the past 2 years have taught us is that social interactions को हम लोग granted बहुत लेते हैं. We take social interactions for granted. कि भाई हाँ हाँ दोस्तों से मिल ही लेंगे, हाँ हाँ क्लास तो होगी, 75% अटेंडेंस कर ही लेंगे. But the past 2 years have taught us that we can't take these things for granted. So while you're in college, while you can have that while we can have that social interaction, while we can still sit in a classroom and listen to professors, no matter how boring you may find and no matter how sleepy you feel, enjoy that journey, because it'll never come back. It will not come back. And so, if you want to start preparing in college, go ahead. Uh, third year, fourth year, third year end is probably a good time to start. 3-2, third year, second semester. But even if you don't start in college, it's absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. It totally depends on when you are ready to take this examination. The next is, coaching for electrical optional should be taken now or after course completion at college. I think you should first let the course get completed. Because अगर आप तैयारी करेंगे किसी चीज़ के लिए जो आपने पढ़ाई नहीं है, तो इट गेट अ लिटिल पेनफुल. ऑल्सो इलेक्ट्रिकल इंजीनियरिंग का जो ऑप्शनल है, उसमें इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स के काफ़ी सब्जेक्ट्स होते हैं, लाइक डिजिटल कम्युनिकेशन, एनालॉग कम्युनिकेशन. So while you're in college, try to catch up with your friends in electronics department and get their notes on digital communication, analog communication. See, the syllabus of electrical engineering optional is available online to the UPSC. जो electrical engineering का part है वो तो आपको पता ही है. जो इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स का पार्ट है, ट्राई टू गेट इन टच विद योर फ्रेंड्स एंड ट्राई टू सोर्स मटेरियल फॉर दैट, बिकॉज वो बाहर जाके पढ़ना, आप, आई मीन दैट इज वेयर आई सफर्ड. आई डिड नॉट think of the civil services in college, so that's why I didn't have any coursework for communications. But I luckily landed up with getting notes from a friend. But जितना जल्दी अगर अभी से ही सोच रहे हैं करने का, so you should get your subject matter in your notes, in your kitty before you start preparing. Then the next question is, what are the reasons why undergraduates should go for administrative services? Um, Let me ask you, what are the reasons why undergraduates should go for an MBA program? Why should undergraduates go for a banking job? Why should undergraduates join NGOs? I mean, it's a personal choice, right? It's something that you decide for yourself. और कभी भी पहली बार में अगर आप, if you land up with something that you love in the first go, you're very, very lucky. Okay, like I know batchmates of mine who did their masters in core engineering and went on to do their PhDs and now are researchers, and they are very happy, and I'm very happy for them. But sometimes you don't find what you love in the first go. You have to make mistakes to get there. So find a reason why you want to go for administrative services. And let me tell you, my electrical engineering program has not gone waste by my becoming an IAS officer, because a lot of times I deal with a lot of engineering problems. I deal with problems that require analytical abilities. I deal with the electricity department on a daily basis. I deal with projects which have electrical engineering control system concepts in it, and I'm able to understand what a feedback loop is, what is positive feedback here, what is negative feedback, and so on and so on. So I think that answers the question. The last two questions now, and I think we'll wrap up because it's already 7:35. And the questions that I've got here on the chat, I would request the co-host and Professor Jishnu to kind of please mail me those questions so that I can draft a response and send it back to you, and you can send it back to the students. You know, I wouldn't want to disappoint anyone here. So आप उसको please mail कर दीजिएगा मेरे को, and whenever I get time, maybe in a week or two, I'll write back, um, uh, reply to those questions, and I'll get back to you. The penultimate question is, if we start the preparation from our college days itself, then we tend to miss all the other opportunities that college groups, clubs offer us, like groundwork, management, public speaking, etc. Should these skills be our secondary concern? How to come out of this dilemma? I told you, when you're in college, enjoy. You know, let not civil services preparation take away the basic essence of college life from you. If you want to go and dance in the choreo section with the choreo section, do it. If you want to go and star in a play with the dramatic section, do it. If you want to watch a movie with the cinematics club, do it. Right? Because कॉलेज का टाइम लिमिटेड है, सिविल सर्विसेज के लिए तैयारी करने का टाइम है आपके पास. आई एम गेसिंग ऑल ऑफ यू आर इन योर अर्ली 20s, राइट? 2021 या 19 के भी होंगे कुछ आप लोगों में से. सो you have a lot of time to prepare for the civil services, but enjoy your college life. And trust me, when they take your interview for this service, interview जब आप देते हैं UPSC examination में, they test your personality. It's not a test of your intelligence, it's a test of your personality. And if you don't have a well-rounded personality, if you don't have a balanced personality, it reflects very poorly in your interview. So go ahead. I was a part of Watch Out. I was a part of EDC, I think. EDC hota tha. And then I was secretary cinema club and member of SAC. I was in Cogni. So I did a lot of those things. I mean, also that I didn't want to be a civil servant in college, but I enjoyed my college life nonetheless. And I would urge all of you to do the same. Neerav is asking, sir, what is your email ID? I would request Professor Jishnu to kindly share my email ID with everyone so that they can mail me. And, yeah, please, thank you. And the last question of the day, and I'll wrap up with that, is any resources or study material that you recommend to start with during your college period. NCRTs, very basic books. So the NCRTs of class 6 to 12, just get it, or you get it online. उसको एक बार आराम से पढ़ना शुरू कीजिए. Be familiar with what the subject is, what the syllabus is. So go online, download the syllabus, find the relevant sections in NCRT and start reading up. This examination requires you to revise and revise and revise and revise some more. So ऐसा कभी नहीं है कि आप जो पहली बार पढ़ेंगे वो आपको याद हो जाएगा. You will have to repeat the same content at least 3 to 4 times. So stick with the basics, stick with NCRTs, and go on revising. That's very important. And the internet is flooded with resources. But my basic advice to you would be that stick with the basics, go with the NCRTs, and revise as much as you can. With that, I would like to close my part of this session. I'm sorry if I've put some of you to sleep. Put an alarm on. The snooze fest is over. And I'm looking forward to seeing some of you at least as my juniors in the Indian Administrative Service and the other civil services. And I hope to see some of you reach the top of the skies in whatever field you choose. If you want to be a teacher, may you be the best teacher in the country. If you want to be a banker, may you be the best banker in the country. If you want to be a researcher, may you be the best researcher in the world and give us great ideas and suggestions that we can implement with the government as well. I would love to have a few of you on board with me, working on a few projects also. Let's see how that works out. But till then, all the best and may God bless.
Anunaya, before vote of thanks, I am Pillai here. Professor Indra Gupta ma'am is also here. She is on leave in Kanpur now. No, when he came to know that. Yeah.
Namaskar, ma'am. Kaisi hain? How are you, ma'am?
I am fine. I am very happy to listen to you.
Ma'am, I'm very happy to talk to you. It's been a year, it's been a decade now. And
Uh,
अभी भी हमको याद है जब आप माइक्रो प्रोसेसर 8085 पढ़ाती थी तो हमको थोड़ा दिक्कत होता था बट आई एम ग्लैड दैट यू टॉट मी एंड नो वन एल्स बिकॉज जो भी हमको उसमें आया मैम इट वाज बिकॉज ऑफ यू थैंक यू सो मच फॉर ऑल ऑफ दैट
Thank you. And one point I want to say, you told 3 mantras.
जी मैम
Looking at your life, I feel one more mantra you should add, that we should be honest to ourselves.
यस मैम एब्सोल्युटली बिल्कुल सही कह रही हैं बिल्कुल बिल्कुल मैम you're right. I think I forgot that. Ma'am, thank you for being the teacher again. So yes, please note the fourth mantra that always be honest. Always be honest to yourself. Always be honest to your family. And always be honest to your conscience. I think अगर आपका विवेक अगर आपको कुछ कहने के लिए कहता है तो उसको कीजिए. And there is no point faking being something you're not, being someone that you're not, because वो आज के लिए तो काम कर लेगा, वो आगे जाके काम नहीं करता है. And I'm glad, Pillai sir, that you gave me an opportunity to talk to Indra ma'am after so long. Ma'am, मैं रुड़की आऊँगा, आपसे भेंट करने भी आऊँगा. आप जब लौटेंगी, I'll come over and I'll pay my respects to you.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll be happy.
Sir,
Okay, I also personally thank Professor Maheshwari. Some professors from other departments also join this. I think he raised a question. Professor Maheshwari, we will put to those questions later and we'll be getting an answer from him later. Okay.
thank you so much, Pillai sir. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
I will be
Thank you,
taking care of
Professor
that, sending those questions and all. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
please
thanks
make
for
me
your
the
time.
questions
No,
I
it's
was not
really
able to
wonderful to
today.
have this event. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, just mail me the questions that we couldn't take today, and I'll probably get
Sure.
back to you.
Yes, sure. Yeah.
So should we end this session? Should we end?
Somil, you can end this session, with word of thanks.
Okay, so I would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone and thank you, sir, for your invaluable experiences and sharing about your journey. I hope students will find it insightful and very motivating as well. So I also appreciate the fact that you have covered every topic very rightly. So thank you for your valuable presence, sir, and thank you for the audience as well. They have been a very nice audience. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
We may leave this meeting. Thank you, everyone.